hello yet again. I wasn't expecting to be back quite this soon because I was expecting Karina to be doing this video because she had planned to go to full council to deliver a speech on digital IDs and what they are planning to do in Colchester. But the mayor has blocked her from speaking. Which is a little surprising because the mayor has personally told me what a fan he is of Council Watch. Be interesting to see if that's still the case by the end of this video.
Many are aware of the announcement Keir Starmer made regarding plans to implement digital identity.
So Karina submitted her speech and she received a reply from Richard Clifford, in brackets he, him, the Democratic Services Manager from Colchester City Council. Dear Karina, thank you for your email seeking to register for Have Your Say at Full Council on the 15th of October. I have consulted with the Mayor in respect of your proposed text, and he considers that it contains material that falls within Council Procedure Rule 6, Paragraph 12a, i.e. defamatory, frivolous, vexatious or offensive. On that basis, we have not registered you to speak under Have Your Say at tomorrow's meeting. Richard Clifford, he, him. Karina wrote back with, Dear Richard, thank you for your email. I recognise that I bring challenging conversations, but I am disappointed to hear that my proposed text is considered defamatory, frivolous, vexatious or offensive by the Mayor. At the last full council meeting, Councillor King stated, We are free to have our say in any form you like.
Have your say in any form you like.
But the response to this Have Your Say request demonstrates this statement to be false. To facilitate my right to free speech at full council, the feedback needs to be more specific in order that I can alter the text to conform with what is permissible in Have Your Say. I look forward to a timely response in order that I am not prevented from contributing my opinion at Have Your Say this evening. Many thanks, Karina. The response from Richard Clifford, he, him. Dear Karina, thank you for your email. The Have Your Say provisions in the Council Procedure Rules are clear that the Mayor has the right not to accept submissions which raise matters which it would not be appropriate to consider at a meeting. There were particular concerns about the penultimate paragraph of your text. Given that the deadline for submissions has now passed and the Mayor has rejected your submission in accordance with the procedure rules, we will not accept a revised submission at this stage. Richard Clifford, he, him. So the penultimate of Karina's speech was the digital control system will be applied to every aspect of our lives. Colchester City Council, together with all the other councils, are assisting to build the infrastructure for this future slave system. Hilariously, outside the door of the town hall is a message board with the notice, You are welcome to come and express a view or ask a question at any of the meetings. Unless, of course, it's something they don't agree with, then you're not allowed. Now, previous mayors haven't had an issue with freedom of speech. In fact, they've promoted it.
This council allows free speech, public speaking. Jolly good that it does.
In a country with supposed free speech, Karina should be able to express herself however she pleases. But knowing how politically correct councils are, I can understand them having a problem with the word slave, so it could have been easily rectified by asking her to choose a different word, like control, or perhaps leave it out completely and just have system. But anyway, it was very clear Richard Clifford, he, him, was not going to play ball on this occasion. But as I say, I am rather surprised by the Mayor. In the past, he's been one of the few members of the Red Team who's actually taken the time to speak to me. Most of them try and look the other way and pretend I don't exist every time I go in the council, and avoid eye contact at all costs. He also addressed the point that Sharon raised in a video, the fact that councillors spend more time on their mobile phones than they do listening to what members of the public have to say during Have Your Say. And he has asked the councillors to not do that and to show more respect. So it is rather disappointing that on this occasion, he has chosen to block free speech, and on such a very important topic. Now, a while ago, council insiders told us that the Mayor is a rather avid gamer. I must confess, I do find that quite hard to believe. So what we thought we'd do with this next bit is to gamify it, as that might help the Mayor, and anyone who loves gaming, get the gist of the seriousness of the whole digital ID thing. Now, as I covered in the previous video, the architecture for digital ID is already here. The prison is already built, and make no mistake, it is a prison. The door's wide open and they're inviting us in with every single government service. From renewing your driver's licence, buying and selling properties, your tax returns, you're verifying you're a company director, all that good stuff. You have to go through Gov1 login, which incidentally, as I mentioned in the last video, has lost its online safety credentials. All your information and biometric data is in one place that has lost its safety credentials. Hacker's paradise. And let's face it, the government's track record with keeping data safe is not good, is it? And it would appear the Spanish version has already been hacked. So what is happening is we are being moved away from our allegedly democratic way of being over to stakeholder capitalism, which Richard Jeffs has covered very successfully in his mini documentary, which I'll link to below, which basically means the bits of your life that the government can't control, the corporations will. And between the two of them, you will not be able to do anything, say anything, go anywhere, or have any form of freedom unless they say so. If you think that sounds extreme and tinfoil hat wearing, just remember those people who supported financially the Canadian truckers. They got their bank accounts shut down. That's what they can do with our current system now. Just imagine what will happen when it's all automated and AI goes through your social media account, because you can bet your bottom dollar you will have to verify yourself everywhere. Well, it's happening already, isn't it? That will be tied in with your Gov1 login, or whatever the version is called if you're living in a different country. Over 12,000 people a year in the UK are arrested for expressing their opinion on social media. Do you really want a government that does that to have complete and utter control at the flick of a switch as to what you can and can't do? Now, for some councillors, I can imagine that being a very exciting prospect. But think about it. Do you really trust this current government? And if you do, what about the next government? Or the one after that? Or the one after that? Because as we know, this level of control just creeps and grows and gets bigger and bigger. What happens when there's a political party that gets in that you absolutely detest? Do you want them to have this level of control and power over every single aspect of your life? Do you? What happens when there's something that you want to do or say and your bank account is blocked? So not only will all our data be going through GovUK1 login, but they will also be sharing that data. Now that is a breach of our human rights, is it not? We have a right to privacy, so that is breaching it. And for anyone who thinks that going through one login is no big deal, let this serve as a warning to you. This is from a director who has failed his identity verification, and this is the message he got. If you've received a failed identity message and you have not been provided with an alternative way to prove your identity, there are currently no options available for you to prove your identity via GovUK1 login, and there is no further recourse at this time. We cannot give users more details about why they are unable to confirm their identity or why they do not have further options via GovUK1 login. This is to protect users from fraud and to keep their information safe. We are unable to reset or override the verification process, nor can we offer an alternative route at this time. So they are completely locked out. Good luck to them. And you, if you decide to go down the one login route. So, Mr. Mayor, I hope you can understand why it is so disappointing that you have chosen to stop freedom of speech on this very important matter. You have let us all down, Mr. Mayor, and you have chosen to be on the wrong side of history, which is very disappointing for us all. Now, ex-lawyer Claire Wills-Harrison, who I referenced in the previous video, I read out some of her Substack, she's recently done an excellent video with Doc Malik, so I will link to that below. It is well worth listening to that. She really spells out exactly where we are right now and the choices that we face. If you sign up for Gov UK One Login in any way, shape or form, they've got you. Now, at the moment, you can withdraw your data. So if you've done it accidentally, as Doc Malik had, before 2027, you can do a data removal request. So it's not too late to get your data out of the system if you've inadvertently signed up and not realised what it was. And in my previous video, I discussed how difficult a decision it is, that I'm considering shutting down my company because I do not want to go through the verification process. And yes, there are alternative routes. You can have your accountant verify you, but your data's still in the system. It's just gone in via the back door, not the front door. You might well have bypassed One Login, but they've still got your information. And the more we are to verify ourselves, the more the net is closing in around us. And also, Claire did an X space with Fiona Rose Diamond. And what was interesting is, I don't think it was the very next day, but it might have been the day after, both of them had their Stripe accounts asking them to verify who they are. The writing is on the wall. We know what's going to happen. And Claire discusses this in depth with Doc Malik. So it's a very thought-provoking conversation that they have. And yeah, I've really reviewed my own life and where I'm standing, and I can feel the resonance of truth with what Claire talks about. It's really made me question everything and take a good hard look at what I want to do in the future and what I'm willing to do and what I'm not willing to do. And last week I was really noticing the disparity between what my soul is ready for and what my personality is ready for. It's like my soul is going, yes, you're born for this. Come on, we march at dawn. And my personality's going, yeah, I don't want to. I'm not fighty. Look at the size of me. No, I really don't. But Claire's words, I feel such a strong resonance of truth with what she says that this is good versus evil. And you can't have a foot in that system, that you've got to make that choice. And I can see with people like her and Fiona that they are 100% aligned with, this is my hill, I'm not going to break. And when I started to look inside, I realised, oh dear, actually, I'm not sure whether I've got what it takes to not buckle under this amount of pressure. And I've really started to look at stuff and question myself, what I'm willing to do, what I'm not willing to do. And it's been eye-opening doing that exercise. And the more I've looked at it and questioned, the stronger I'm becoming. I'm not as 100% and I definitely won't buckle like they are. I'm not there yet. But the resonance of what Claire is talking about feels so true to me that I can feel myself, rather than being here and here, I can feel myself starting to come into alignment. I'm starting to look at life differently and think of different things and ways of being, which is a relief because, last week I was looking at myself going, I don't know that I'm not going to buckle. Oh, but knowing I mustn't. And it was a very uncomfortable inner process. And at the end of the day, this is about what we do as individuals. Trap I think a lot of us fall into is we always say, yeah, if we can get enough of us to push back against the system, we just need to get enough people. No, we don't. What we need to get is ourselves. Because if we all wait until there's enough of us, there will never be enough of us. It's not about what other people do. This is about me. This is about what I choose to do. This is about you, what you choose to do. So if you haven't done it already, have a really honest conversation with yourself as to where your line in the sand is. How far are you willing to go? So it's quite tricky talking about this and thinking about it, because thoughts are powerful. Thoughts manifest things, and we do not want to manifest this dystopian future, but equally we can't put our heads in the sand and ignore it and hope it all goes away. So it's that delicate balance. So what I've been doing is sort of a mental exercise of each day a different thought pops into my head, and not in a fear way. It's just a what if? Well, okay, what if I didn't drive? What if I didn't have a bank account? Would it be the end of the world? How would I function? And rather than getting all in a state over it, I'm just playing with the idea of like, okay, so I don't have a bank account. What would I do in that situation? So I've examined all my weak spots, all the bits that would be really difficult for me to do. And then I've gone in and gone, well, what could I do differently? What else could I do instead? So in my mind, I've kind of planned this completely different life that doesn't involve technology, doesn't involve being part of the system. I've started to get sort of a prickle of excitement of like, oh, actually, that would be quite nice if I did this, this and this, which I'm not going to go into in this video, not just yet. So as a result of doing this thought experiment, I've got a slight path is beginning to emerge of what I would like to do. I think if we don't sign up for these verifications, I think it will be impossible to have a bank account. So therefore, what would I like to do with my savings? It feels silly to me to let them take it. So I would rather buy some land and put it in a trust and give it to other people, rather than have the powers that shouldn't be come in and take everything I've got. So at the weekend, I went to have a look at some land, and Karina came with me, and it was just down the road from where my parents are, and it was lovely. It wasn't appropriate, and it was exorbitantly priced. 2 acres, 50 grand. 3 acres, 70 grand. Ouch. So as lovely as the walnut orchard with lake views were, it wasn't an appropriate site, which was such a shame because it was in the perfect location. But if I had land, I can start the home education hubs there. People can come for free with their kids and teach them bushcrafting and whatever else they want to teach them in a woodland setting. If I could get a little bit of meadow ground next to the wood, I could also have areas where events could be held for awake communities. So I'm starting to plan this whole other life. And you know what? It's a lot more appealing than my current life. Not having to battle with YouTube over what I can and can't say. Not having to spend hours online. Not having to edit videos. To be out in nature. Pottering away. To create an environment where people can bring their children and create an outdoor classroom for limitless learning. I mean, the thought of that really makes me happy. And just to go back to the old ways. Now, I've been told that if land is in a trust, it is more difficult for the government to do a land grab on it. And also, if anything happens to me, that land is safe and the space where people can bring their children is safe. So if you know any awake landowners that would be willing to sell me some land, 3 or 4 acres, I can't afford 25,000 an acre, but if they can do it for less than that, please let me know. I'm looking in North Essex, Suffolk, maybe up to Thetford area, so that band, because that's what was bothering me, having them take everything I've got. I'm willing to give it away, I'm just not willing for them to have it. So it's been very valuable for me to do these thought experiments to see where my sticking points were. Now, all this might feel a bit defeatist that, what am I willing to give up? But for me, it's been a very valuable process because it's stripped away all the unimportant things and left me with what's important. And now I've done that, now I've realised actually, I knew beforehand, but there's an intellectual understanding of we mustn't break. And then there's the internal really being aligned with that, because it was too big a leap for my mind to go, yes, I'm willing to walk away from everything. That was too much. So I've had to just remove things one at a time and strip it away to actually, if everything goes, I'm okay. I'll be all right. You may not need to do this. You may be immediately strong and aligned and okay. Now, I'm hoping that I'll be able to interview Claire next week, and we're going to go through all of the things. We're going to do a solutions video, all the ways we can push back, and there are a lot of ways we can use their tools against them. They've created a minefield of rules and regulations, and we can shove them right back at them. So just because I'm contemplating shutting my business down and changing my life doesn't mean to say I'm going to. I wouldn't be at all surprised in a week's time I'm going, no, I'm not shutting my business down. I'm going to fight for it. Who knows? But I needed to go through that process of mentally letting go of everything and realizing, yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right with that. And now I can pick my battles carefully and decide which ones I'm going to go in all in for. What's been important for me is to get to that place where I can let go of everything, so that if I'm in that situation, I don't freak out because I've mentally accepted and processed that is a possibility. Doesn't mean to say I'm going to roll over and make it easy. No. Now, Fiona Rose Diamond has put a whole list together on the Mass Non-Compliance website. And Claire has just released a fantastic article on Substack in how to overwhelm them with paperwork doing decile. And towards the end of the chat that she had with Doc Malik, she was saying that if everybody on her social media donated her £1, she would be able to do so much more work to help people because her expenses would be covered. And I was thinking, that last video I made got nearly 30,000 views. If everyone that watched it donated £1, I could get an extra acre of land for this homeschooling hub idea. That's how easy it could be. We've got to get into the mentality of helping one another. And yes, I am a paid subscriber for Doc Malik, and now I've added Claire to my ever-growing list of people I pay to subscribe to on Substack, because this is how we do it. We support each other and not the corporations. This is what I've written about in the back of this book. Page 478, I think it is. The image of the parable of long spoons comes to mind. This parable depicts heaven and hell with a banquet of delicious food piled sky high in both. In hell, they are starving because the cutlery is too long and people can't feed themselves with it no matter how hard they try. In heaven, everyone is well fed because they use the long cutlery to feed each other. As a child, I was always puzzled why no one thought to just pick up the food with their hands, therefore bypassing the need for the overlong cutlery altogether. Now I understand the image. It's not about just feeding ourselves that's important. No, it's not. And this is why they work so hard to divide us, because together we stand, divided we fall. Now, what was also interesting were the comments on that previous video. Considering the viewing numbers, nearly 30,000, normally there's a really big percentage of naysayers, but nearly everybody was in agreement, which was interesting. So that alignment, it's coming with us all. But the number of people that were really on board for getting outside the system and doing a more bartering type of system. Several people didn't believe me that there is a tax on bartering. Yes, there is. But as we know, bartering is a really laborious way of doing things because you might not have something the person whose thing you want wants. So here's an idea for you. Good old-fashioned duplicate book. Here's one I did earlier. Et voila. Now, if this was real, I'd put my contact details on it, but very simple idea. I, Rachel Matthews, promise to give the bearer 1 hour of my professional time, or 2 hours, including travel time, of manual labour. Professional time can be garden design advice, video editing, voiceovers, speech writing, website and sales funnels critiques, business brainstorming. Manual labour, gardening, decorating, cleaning, driving, shopping, animal care, etc. So there's a fair few things I could do. My professional time is valuable. This little piece of paper is probably worth about 100 quid. I'm not sure my painting and decorating skills are worth that, but anyway. So even though this is a slightly better idea than one-to-one bartering because they can be passed around a community, There was a video I watched many years ago on a little mountain village in Spain where they had a market where they used a duplicate book like this, and they had their own kind of currency where they'd say, okay, I had 50 kilos of potatoes, I owe you, I don't know, 40 of whatever this currency was called, Fedura or something like that, so that it was just bits of paper going backwards and forwards, as well as the produce. So you kind of create this mixed system. Now, I haven't been able to find the video, but I have found a web page that talks about it. So I will link to that in the video description. Might be an idea to stock up with duplicate books now before the government ban them. So even though the council told Karina she couldn't speak, she went anyway. And she handed out her speech to all those councillors who were willing to accept it. And she also read it out in the foyer of the council. Can't keep a good woman down. So anyway, I think it's about time we finally let Karina have her say.
Many are aware of the announcement Keir Starmer made regarding plans to implement digital identity and the subsequent petition demanding government commits to not introducing digital ID. Despite nearly 3 million signatures, multitudes over the 100,000 threshold for debate, ignoring the will of the people, the government response is they will introduce digital ID within this Parliament. Helping to tackle illegal migration and working is used as a reason to implement this system. Closer inspection reveals digital identity has been planned for many years. Our country has the architectural framework already in place. You may have unwarranted faith in the existing government to act honourably, to not abuse their power, but this enables complete control by future governments to shut down people's lives. Others will recognise these concerns are neither irrational nor far-fetched. I'm a refusenik, so wasn't eligible for the digital ID wolf in vaccine pass clothing. I haven't forgotten our treatment. Derogatory labels for refusing to be injected with unsafe, ineffective experimental technology. In unlawful coercion attempts, exclusion from theatres or overseas travel was threatened. Imagine the party you despise most getting to tell you what to do and what to say. As it is, 12,000 people a year in this free society are put in prison for words on social media. Legislation like the Data Use and Access Act 2025, which got royal assent in June, and the Children's Wellbeing and Schools Bill, which is progressing through Parliament, give corporations access to our children's biometric data, valuable modern currency, which allows sharing for profit and eventual control of what the future establishment will permit them to access. Come on through. Would you like a copy of what I'm not allowed to have my say? I can email you. Thanks. Valuable modern currency, which allows sharing for profit and eventual control of what the future establishment will permit them to access. As a mother continuing to observe large-scale abuses by government corporations, I'm asking, are you really considering letting this dystopian future play out? That which binds all future generations into a global digital prison. I don't want this surveillance state for my children or grandchildren. The digital control system will be applied to every aspect of our lives. Colchester City Council, together with all other councils, are assisting to build the infrastructure for this future slave system. Colchester Borough Homes state they will be able to share residents' data with the NHS. Is this lawful? Will you be requesting or ordering constituents to comply with digital identification requirements? And what measurements do you envision requiring to try to enforce those who do not consent? Thank you.